Last episode, we built this massive train track that runs right along the mountainsides, avoids the water, but it does leave me with a bit of a problem to solve. I've got to get this fitting in with the landscape, and that almost means kind of making an entire mountainside. I mean, it's going to look like a giant mountainside. I plan on building up all of this and also adding some nice walls to the outside. But I've also got to clean up the interior sections here as well, add some retaining walls to the mountainside, clean up the mountains, fill in all of this, and my goodness, is that going to be one heck of a project. Not to mention all of the trees that need to be cleaned up along the way. Also, some things that I want to do along this whole mountainside, I do also want to start prepping up some spaces that are going to be for decorative buildings. I want to have some life and add life to the whole train ride as you make your way to where ultimately I'm going to have a new base area designed. So what's this mean? Well, it means I'm going to have to go out and dirt hunt. Yes, I'm going to need to collect a ton more dirt from somewhere and probably gather a bit more tuff because I'm going to need it, I think, for walls and things like that. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and cue the stream time lapse. Now, I tell you what, after collecting all of those resources, I am so tired. But I still have all of this left to do. And if you didn't know, I am working on all of this while streaming over on Twitch. But at this point, you've definitely missed it. But that's fine. You get to actually watch it here. But just so you don't miss the next one, be sure to follow me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/ChosenArchitect, where I am live streaming a lot of these time-lapse segments. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely be sure to follow at twitch.tv/ChosenArchitect. But now that I have all the resources built up, I think it's time for the beautiful montage that is going to be wall building and land spreading. I still haven't figured out what to call it. Roll the time lapse. Now, I can't believe after all of that, this whole area is now nice and clean, nice and ready for some decoration. And we also have the rail system over here. Like there's a whole lot going on over here, and I'm pretty excited about getting the train actually built. Now, there is still some decorating that I really want to do, and I like some of the ideas that you guys have thrown out here. For example, making this look a whole lot nicer by maybe adding some archways in it. I think that would be kind of nice. As of right now, it's just a giant brick wall, essentially, retaining wall. And that leads all the way down here. I have all of it kind of filled in with gravel. Things are looking pretty good. And this only took two days of streaming to be able to get it all done. But you know what? I think it's all going to pay off in the end, especially when people decide to use this rail system to travel to my base. Now, this whole train line could use something. How about an actual train? And I have just the idea for a train. I'm thinking like a Pacific Railroad style train, like a diesel version. One that is kind of in that yellowish white color. I really love those. That's what I grew up seeing. Like we lived like not even 100 feet. I think it was even less than that. It was a road, a ditch, and then bam, there was the train tracks. That was how close it was to the house. And I just grew up hearing that horn sound, the classic horn sound, and then them passing right next to us. It was the big yellow ones. And I'm almost positive it was Union Pacific. Yeah, it definitely was. They had like the red, white, and blue like shield. Yeah, it was definitely Union Pacific. Now, I know a lot of you guys may know a lot about trains. At least some of you will definitely know a lot about trains. But I will let you know, I do not know a lot about trains. So I'm just going to be taking reference images and trying to recreate that in the game. But I do have a cool idea. I noticed over here that Stam, I believe Stam built this train. Stam has been making these little cute little passenger cars. These are really, really adorable. I like the idea of this. But what if instead of me doing passenger cars, I instead make cargo cars and then kind of do the whole Brother War Art Thou thing, if you've seen that movie, where inside the train cars is like seats where you have to be kind of a stowaway on the train to be able to actually take a part in the ride. I think that'd be a pretty cool idea, having some cargo containers, multiple different types of cargo containers, and having the doors open on some of them, and then having, you know, like hay bales and like some seats in them. I think that'll be pretty cool instead of doing the whole passenger car thing. So now here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to use this train station over here to actually build the train itself. So I'm going to first get started by placing down the direction I want the train going, and then just place this down. Now, as of right now, I'm not worried about the station name or anything like that. We will, however, name our train, but that is going to be after we kind of get this built. Now, I need to go ahead and create a new train, and this is where we can start placing in our bogies. Now, I've already made a couple of jank trains, but this is actually going to be a nice looking train. There's a couple of modes. I do like this cart. As of right now, we don't have any others other than this one right here, and also this one. And if I remember correctly, we can't have more than, I believe, 2 bogies that are glued together as one contraption. But I think you can have up to like 20 different like bogies attached to one central train. So I think for me, the best way to build this train is by using an actual train reference image and then kind of building it from front to back. So build the frame and kind of use that to kind of get the scale of this train, and to kind of do the proportions right. And I think that is going to be key, especially since I just don't have a full understanding of like how big this should be, right? These trains are kind of limiting in the size. We're going to have about a 3x3 interior space, and then we have a 1 block space on the outside to usually work with these trains. Otherwise, they look too big for the actual track. But we should be able to achieve most of this with copycat panels being on the outside. Of course, if you get where I'm going with this, we are going to have a mailbox system set up like this. And this is, like I said, to mimic those like fuel tanks that are typically on the sides of these trains. Now, at this point, I think I can go ahead and use my wand of symmetry, making sure it's set to mirror once, and place it right in the center of the track. Now, anything that I do to this side will be reflected to the other side. For example, I want to go ahead and create some wheel covers. I'm going to use some hoppers for this, and we'll notice that it places them in the exact mirrored position. Oh, that is so nice to have done. Same for the shafts, just going to make life a whole lot easier. And I think even the metal brackets, if I place them here, I think those automatically get applied. Oh, the metal brackets don't, but everything else does. It's still going to be a time saver. And to go with the metal vibe, since we're sticking with this kind of frame setup here, I'm also going to use, I think, chutes. It's either chutes or the basins. I kind of like the basins more. In the front, I will use a metal girder. We'll branch that off the sides like this, and we should be able to extend the shafts through here. And we're going to have to make something that's called a cow push bar. A cow clearer. Yeah, basically we got to have the front scoop-ish thing. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that. Maybe, I don't know. There's not a lot of things that we have in here that that honestly make that easy to do. And the exact same setup on the back to kind of keep things even. These trains are basically the same all the way along the base. Right now for the front catwalk and the catwalk in the back, I've got a copycat step and a few copycat panels that are basically on the outside. I'm going to figure out how to get these glued in because I know this can be a problem. I think they are connected to here, but yeah. Anyways, what I'm going to do now is start working on the cab portion. The cab should, based on the images I'm looking at, should go roughly out to here, give or take, of the main part of the cab. Like definitely the main part of the cab starts here, and it's got a really short stubbed nose. And so I'm thinking we make it super short nosed, and then right here is where the windows will be. And then the cab will maybe be about 3 or 4 and probably stop right here. And then the rest is actually going to be where the diesel kind of converts its energy, right? Because this train, apparently it runs on diesel, but it uses that diesel and converts it into electricity and then powers the train with electricity. Now for this, I'm thinking we run this down to at least the length. This is going to honestly go all the way back, but this right here is going to be the start of the train, and I want it to use some of the ochre, kind of looking a bit more dirty as it's closer down to the rails. And then as I work my way up, I want to transition through these colors right here. This is going to go to like a yellow terracotta and then into hay bales, which also has some red in it, which is very fitting considering that these trains do have a red line that does run through the top. So on the back here, I have used the hay bales. I'm still iffy on the color scheme. I may have it a little bit wrong here. I don't know. But this is where I'm going to place in the tinted glass. And this will be the windows. I mean, so far from a distance, it doesn't look too bad. And the red line honestly super fits. On the outside, though, this is where we're going to have to use those copycat panels. So I am going to go ahead and lay these out. But this will actually probably, I'm almost positive, this is going to be removed. I'm going to have to remove this. And what we're going to need is the copycat panels layered on the outside. Now, after looking at this a bit more, I was like, you know what? The hay bales I'm not liking. Also, the front nose, I wasn't liking much either. So I did go ahead and smooth out and make the nose a little bit smaller. Now the train is really starting to come together. The color, though, of the copycat panel here, I'm still debating on the terracotta. It still almost seems like too much. And this is really starting to come together now. So I have all of this here on the bottom. I added in some railing on the side. Still got to figure out how that is going to connect up. And I also added on both sides here, which I do need to go ahead and get this placed in here. The copycat panel to make the transition up a little bit easier. And then we have the slabs that lead up to a full block so I can have a door, and the door can be in these entryways here. And now I just got to start working on the roof and working on the exhaust area. Now with the front end basically done, I have the railing, I have the steps, I have the ability for us to get in, open and close a door, and we have some room for some controls and stuff in here. Oh, this is where things are getting kind of cool. Now, let's go ahead and actually build the exhaust section of this. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. On the back of these trains, there are these like large exhaust vents out on the side and also on the top. So I'm thinking we can use some chutes, and chutes have a really cool ability. So by default, you may not even notice this is possible, but if you place a chute down, you have the ability to branch off of a chute from the side by clicking on it. And when you do that, it branches off like this, and you get this really, really cool look. And this fits perfect. This is exactly what this looks like on this train, and I'm absolutely loving this. And so I can branch off the side on here too. And so we get this sort of look on the back. And that's exactly what this train looks like. Now, to add even more detail to this, what I'll do is up here, I will have some fans placed in. And these fans, I kind of want rotating the other direction. So I'll pull up my rotator and have them all facing in the up direction. Now, this definitely turned out to be more than I was expecting. So yeah, we still have the same vibe of the whole Union Pacific, like sort of train. I unfortunately don't have a good way of putting plows on the front. Plows don't connect to things that aren't full blocks. Can't even place them on them, unfortunately. So we're left with this on the front, which I'm kind of fine with. I mean, honestly, I don't want to be pushing or destroying cows anyways, or anything like that. I don't think we're going to worry about anything like this, but I did go ahead and actually recess the windows, and I added some trim along the side and added support underneath the bars. And I think that looks a lot better on the outside, and getting on the inside is still just as easy as it was before. We just have these windows here. So there's still some space. I can put train controls like literally right here. They'll fit perfectly. We can have a seat. We can have a conductor. I could add 2 separate controls if I really wanted to. I think one is going to be fine for right now. I'm going to be the only thing piloting this train. So this looks fantastic. I love this design. And I'll definitely make sure to get a schematic put together for you guys, so that way you guys can also build this in your world. It'll of course be pinned in the general chat, so be sure to check that out. Now, before I get to making train cars, we need to place this on the back, and I want to add a coupling to the back. Very, very simple to put together. Let's see, we are going to need to make this connect a, what is it called again? There we go, a bracket. We're going to take the bracket. It's funny, it's hard for me to remember what the names of things are, but I know what they look like. So yes, we're going to shift right click to throw the bracket on the back, and that just gives us a nice little connection point here. Whenever we have a train car connected, I am going to have a gap, and there's going to be a cable that runs between them, and you can kind of manipulate how long that cable looks by adding a little bit of extra to the back of your trains, for example. But this train should fit within my spec. There's almost like kind of a spec that you really want to keep when it comes to proportions for your trains. And that is, you don't want to make them more than 5 blocks wide total. And then as far as tall, I mean, you don't want to go more than 5 blocks tall usually as well. So we're setting it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 full blocks tall. And we're also 5 blocks wide. So yes, we have definitely met that criteria, which is perfect. So now that the main train is out of the way, we need to start coming up with ideas for our train cars. Now, I want to go with cargo cars, and I'm going to make a few different variations of these cargo cars, but that's what I've seen growing up, just cargo cars all my whole childhood. So now when adding train cars, this is where things I think is going to get a little bit more complicated, because I need to branch out. I want it to be somewhat connected right here if I can get this to work. So we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks away. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we place it here, I'm thinking that this, if we connect these two things together and we don't glue them together, they will be somewhat connected. I might actually need to move this just one more over right here, just to make sure there is a gap between the two, because I don't want to accidentally glue them these two together. Then the train won't work, because the main train component, or each car, they can only have 2 bogies per car. And just like this train, I'm going to have it 9 blocks apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we have the bogies. So this is a 11 block long train. And I'm going to try to keep that consistent as I continue on. Now, when it comes to making the trailer itself and the flat car, I mean, it is really as simple as just taking the pillars, and we'll just go ahead and build out the pillar. The flat car is connected with the same kind of connectors that I had on the front of these. And just, yeah, just a flat piece of just iron blocks. I mean, these are really easy to build. And like, they don't have to be perfect or anything. Like we're literally just connecting them through the top like this too. Now, I'll come back to these in a second, because I am going to change them just a little bit to make them a little bit more roomy by using a few of these copycat panels. But I also want to make a fluid cart. So I'm thinking what I could do here is, instead of starting right here, because I want to leave this for railing, right? We want railing on here. I want a little bit of space. So I'm only going to start this right here. And I think what I'll do is I will branch these out, and it's going to look a little weird. But I'm going to form this like X shape. They still all hold fluids, and they all hold fluids for the entire cart. But I can go ahead and I can just continue branching this out like so. It's going to form weird shapes. Just ignore that. It's not that important. I guess I could go ahead and bring this like so all the way across. But the thing that I really want to do is I want to make this kind of look like it's got tank sections. I think that'll look really cool. And then to beef it up a little bit, we will add these to the side, and then I'm just going to use regular copper blocks in here. So now with all of the copycat steps on, I want to go ahead and add some supports here on the side to give it some sort of support. Otherwise, this thing would just simply roll off the cart. And now to add some decoration to the top and also give it some stairs. Right now I'm adding some railing, so using some andesite bars. I know I can put it in my offhand. I just always forget to do that when I place it down. But man, this is a cool way to get like catwalks set up. Now that I've got that card done, let's go ahead and start making these somewhat functional, right? So what I want to do is I've started adding some doors, but I want to kind of expand this a little bit, and I want to make it look like the door is just slightly open. Just enough to give me some space, and because I have these copycat panels on the other side, I should be able to make this nice and open. So if I just make the door one block wider on this side, and I can do that, place this in, set the distance here, I can actually open this up right here. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and break this and then break the inside here, and it's going to give me a lot of space to get in here. And if I just place a stair, perfect. We're going to have some space to get in and out. I might do the same thing to the other side. Yes. Now this is actually perfect. So there's a lot of space in here. So what I can do is I can set some barrels and stuff back in this side and then place a few seats in here. So that way we could have some passengers, you know, very high class. Now this last cart, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spam a few different types of blocks like this. I want this to be like a redstone cart where there's like a bunch of redstone packed inside here. So we're going to have definitely redstone on the outside. So that way it's very, very clear and visible. But yeah, we're going to mix in some netherrack and have like different, almost like it's like raw redstone kind of on this trailer. And then on the outside, we'll act like it's kind of being held up, I guess, by some trapdoors. Now with the trains mostly decorated, I mean, there's our redstone cart over here. I do want to make the train cars just a little bit wider. So I'll just go ahead and add in some more copycat steps. These are just so nice to place in just to thicken things up a bit. With that, I have effectively made myself a Union Pacific train. You know what? Just kind of reminds me of my childhood. Yeah, it really does. Now, if you want these schematics, like I said, I'm going to have them over on the Discord, my Discord specifically, and they'll be pinned in the general chat. So definitely be sure to get your schematics for this. Speaking of schematics, I've got to get this all glued together and then make those schematics. So I think all of the train cars are now glued together and glued correctly. So we have all of this hooked up, making sure they are not glued to each other because that would cause some problems. Everything looks, yeah, looks to be just fine here. Okay, I think that is going to work. Also, to be able to get the andesite ladders gluable, I did place a copycat step underneath, and it does seem like it worked. Now, with everything schematiced up and all of it glued together, it's now time to assemble the train. And it looks like everything worked. Now, we do have to name this, and I'm going to name it Chosen's Lag Express. Yeah, that's a pretty good name for it. We also can choose a few things like open all doors whenever it tracks into a station. But outside of that, we just hit we're good. Now the train is named and we should be able to pop in here and take it for a spin. All right, so hop in, access the controls, now controlling Chosen's Lag Express. There's another control that I put back here so that way we can go faster backwards as well. But oh, this is beautiful. I kind of want to hop out though before we get going too far because I can't see everything. I want to come out here. I want to see what these couplers look like. Oh, that looks so nice. Like these are actually coupled together in like the perfect distance, I would say. Well, technically the couplers here would be connected directly to each other, but it looks really cool having this like cable couple. I love this. I love this. This has turned out way better than I was expecting, and is definitely one of the best trains I've ever made. I've made a lot of trains with the Create mod, but this has got to be one of the best looking ones I've ever made, and I'm loving it. I just noticed for some reason I have a pipe disconnected, and there's one disconnected on the other side as well. I don't know why it's disconnected, but it is. Either way, doesn't really matter. Let's continue on, and we can now take our train through everything that I have done over the last few days and just give this a good spin. If I put coal in here, by the way, too, it also makes it go a bit faster. It's just so fast. It's already pretty quick. Oh, this is just... It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And then I could definitely take a peek while I'm inside the train, and I can see through the windows. Not a whole lot to see through these windows. Of course, they're very tiny. But I mean, this is gorgeous. What a gorgeous train ride. And this is going to take us right to our new base very, very soon. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and hopefully you enjoyed this beautiful train ride with me. I'm gonna have to head back. Yeah, we've got to make a trip all the way back. But if you did enjoy, be sure to click that subscribe button, and of course, don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up. And by the way, with that being said, I do want to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode, and that huge thanks is going to go out to Noah. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible by becoming a Discord premium member. And man, I thank you so very much for absolutely going above and beyond. I look forward, guys, to seeing you all in the next episode. Oh man, it's gonna get even crazier, and I love it. And as always, thanks for watching.